Welcome to the lab. I'm Jen and delighted to welcome you into this space today. First of all, massive thank you to everyone who tuned in to our trailer and episode 1. I received a few analytics from some of the countries turning into the podcast, and I was actually super surprised and delighted to see that there's actually a listener base in the UK. Can barely get my family to listen in. So a big shout out to all my friends across the pond. Thank you for tuning in and listening to the show. As a little aside, I was actually just in London a few months ago, and it was amazing. My learner maximizer could not get enough, and I can't wait to go back. So thank you to everyone who tuned in, wherever you are on this wonderful planet. I am so glad that you popped into the lab to listen. So our time is brief, so let's make every second count and jump right in. In our last episode, we spent time looking inward, exploring how to track where we're feeling fueled or drained so that we can calibrate from a place of strength. We also talked about integrating that language of strength in a fun, visual way using that trading card approach. So whether you've used the resources or not, they are there for you. At minimum, I hope you will start to notice your strengths in action, really uncovering what fills your tank, what drains it, and how you uniquely move through the world. So for today, we're going to go deeper, and we're going to shift our lens into daily action. We will explore how to intentionally keep strengths at the forefront of those things that we actually have to do. It's about moving away from the automatic autopilot lens and stepping into an intentional strengths-based approach. And we're going to do that by building the dynamic strengths-based to-do list. My list-loving friends, you are probably going to enjoy this one, but even for the non-list makers, I really encourage you to give this exercise a try. I find that we all have something on our plate that we're trying to tackle or navigate, so why not do that through a strengths-based lens to tackle the day with some intentionality? You know that you can find the handout on my website, www.strengthstudio.com. Click on the lab tab, and you should be able to find it under episode 2. As always, I am not collecting your information. The resources are there for you to use so that you have a way to keep your strengths alive. So before we step into this form, let me just give a little bit of context, because I think it is always important to paint the why behind things. And so the big why behind today's episode is that most people let their day happen to them. It simply unfolds. And while that's okay some of the time, we can truly get stuck in autopilot and let life just happen to us rather than be in the driver's seat of it. So when we think about this, when we're on that autopilot, we're automatically reacting to what needs to be done rather than starting from that place of awareness and intentionality. Autopilot's easy, right? We wake up, we do what needs to be done, we respond to whatever priorities emerge as, the most urgent, and then we move through the day. We're checking things off the list, we're getting things done, and probably even racking up successes, right? But we may not be getting through it in a way that energizes us, and we actually may be leaving some of our potential on the table. So that's why we need to just pause from time to time, because when we insert the pause and we shift our approach, we get to choose how we show up, where and how we intentionally invest our energy, and we can map our day from a place of strength so that we can even tackle the hard stuff with a bit more ease and less drain. Essentially, we get to change the game. We get to operate from that place of strength and expand our impact and what's possible. So let's look at how do we intentionally build that impact into a regular day. I will walk you through the quick handout step by step. Remember, strategic's my number one, so I will try not to jump. But if I automatically skip over a step or a question emerges for you, you know you can always reach out to me through my website. So first, let's just start thinking about your day. Think about, what are those tasks? What are those projects, meetings, priorities, interactions, or decisions that you need to make today? Just jot down a few on that handout. Or if you're driving along, you can just think about these things, right? There's no perfect approach to this. The handout's there to make it easy, but I know that we're living in a dynamic world too. So sometimes it's just giving the quick pause to process through some of this. Some people do like to go beyond the day when they're thinking about what's on their list. But I really encourage you to start with the day just so you can keep it manageable. This is a first pass. Your list doesn't need to be exhaustive. The point is really about how do we start looking for strengths in action and then calibrating our areas of focus to our strengths. Okay, so after you jot down a few items, that next set of columns is where we actually calibrate those tasks to our strengths by thinking about them through different lenses. First, will this fuel or drain us? Remember, if you've gone through Gallup's strengths training, you know that there's clues to talent, right? Gallup talks about, are you interested in the task? Do you pick it up quickly? Will it ignite that flow space where time passes quickly? Will you deliver both the outcome and do it with excellence and a sense of satisfaction? Remember, those are those indicators of being in that strength zone. Just because you can do something doesn't necessarily make it a strength unless it also comes with that performance and satisfaction. So then conversely, think about, okay, will the things on my plate today, will they drain or deplete my energy? And what I want you to do is when you look at that column, give a plus for those things that you anticipate will be fueling for you. And then just throw a negative in there for those things that feel like, this might deplete my energy, drain my battery. Then you move to the next column. In that next column, think about, what strengths do I have available to me that I can leverage for greatest impact? Even on those areas that are going to be fueling, look at it through the lens of intentionality. What can you tap into? Really stay in that top 5 space or top 10 and think about, what can I leverage for the greatest impact? And then that third column, you'll notice that I call it needs and notes. And what's important here is to think about, what do I need to achieve this task with excellence and satisfaction? Maybe you need time to think or plan or map out your project. Maybe you need a different perspective from someone who brings another lens. Maybe you need a connection who can help you make an introduction or who can help navigate through something for you. Maybe you need to invite someone in or communicate, or perhaps you have a watch point that you need to manage. This is that space that can help you think about, what is it that I need and how can I move through my day? Take that fuel and drains category, for example. This is just a quick pause where it's really helping you think about, okay, how can I also look at this through a lens of where should I place something within my day? How should I approach it? What do I need to move something draining to maybe a bit more pleasant? And I'll give you an example of this. For me, when I'm thinking about that fuel and draining, if I know something's going to take a lot of empathy, remember that is one of my lesser strengths. I think it's like my 30. I know I need to navigate that with intentionality. I can do it. I can demonstrate empathy. I can help people get what they need in that space, but it is also not something that comes easy and natural to me. So when I know I have something that is going to pull that from me, I know that I need careful placement so that I am not completely depleted when I might need the energy the most. And I also want to say this for my overthinkers, remember not to overprocess all of this. This is a quick exercise, should be relatively brief, keep it quick and adaptive, and let your insights be the things that emerge as you go. So essentially, that's what I want you to do. You identify what are some of those priorities that I have for the day. What are the things that are fueling or draining? What are my needs? What are my notes? What are my strengths? And think through, how can I have a more intentional day? So I'm going to give you a full example, and I'm going to keep it really simple because sometimes the simplicity of something can help us start translating that into, how does this work for me? So remember how I said I hate exercise, which I truly, truly do. For the sake of this conversation, for the sake of an easy priority, let's say that I put on my list that I need to exercise 60 minutes today. In that fuel drain column, this would definitely be a negative for me because it is so draining. For the themes I would leverage, I would think about, okay, how can I get through this task from a place of strength? So I would definitely consider my achiever. My achiever can help me get anything done, but that doesn't mean that it's going to fuel me. So when I look at that needs and notes column, this is where it becomes really important because that's where I can think about, what do I need to approach this from a place of strength? Yes, my achiever can be fueled by checking it off and getting it done, but how can I really make myself feel fueled rather than just getting through it? And for me, I have relator high. So what I would do is think about, all right, where's a connection point? Who is someone who can navigate through this with me? Maybe it's a person that I need to connect with to engage in this exercise together. By doing this with someone, that could actually shift this negative, draining thing for me into something that I really enjoy, that it fuels, that it lights me up, that it makes me go, okay, I want to do that again. So essentially, that's what you're doing when you look at it through the lens of strengths, when you look at it through the lens of intentionality, you're thinking, okay, how do I take this from to, all right, we're amped up, we're ready to go. And I'll give you another one because I know some of you out there might be like, okay, exercise, that's an easy one. How does this translate to our work or what we're doing each day? So I'll take a real one that I have on my list, and that's preparing a presentation for an upcoming session. So my task will be to develop a high impact presentation for my upcoming strength session. That fuel drain space, total fuel. This is like plus, plus, plus for me. I get to ideate, I get to create, I get to think how to bring strengths to life and have impact for a small group. My relator maximizer loves it, right? So when I think about the themes to leverage, All of my strengths could be at play here, but especially my strategic, my maximizer, my ideation, and relator. These kinds of tasks are absolutely my strengths zone. So when I think about that, what do I need? This isn't where we ignore it. This is where we double down. This is where I need to go, okay, what do I need to get the best out of those strengths? What do I need for maximum impact for the individuals that I'm helping? And so for me, I need to do a test run. I need a 3-hour time block to work without interruption. I need 15 minutes to walk through my presentation with someone who's high in analytical. I'm specific about that need and that strength that I need to complement me because I've done this enough times to know I also have to manage my watch points. So I like to run through my presentation with someone who's high in analytical because they're going to question, they are going to challenge, and they're going to help me actually get to my best performance, which is fuel for a maximizer. And for me, I get really lucky because my spouse has all those complementary strengths that I can lean into and leverage. So I need my ideal partner to give me 15 minutes of their time to help me maximize my presentation. So you see how this works? To really get the most value from this tool, you want to be intentional. You want to think about, okay, what do I have to do? The impact that you want to make, how you want to feel, and what you need to get there. You aren't changing what you do. You are changing how you do it by intentionally assigning your natural talents to the work. And this is how we do it. This is how we move through the world with that intentional strengths-based lens. So you could stop there, but I don't want you to. I actually want you to take it a step further. Because here's the thing, I don't want you to leave all of these good insights, all this good information stuck on a worksheet. This is where that second half of the worksheet becomes important. This is where we shift our strengths from the paper into the room. So I encourage you to do 3 things with this: reflect, connect, and share. First, I want you to pause and reflect. Instead of simply just jumping from task to task, and some of you will be supercharged by being able to check things off that list. But I want you to pause and I want you to go deeper because your task list is information and it's insights. It's not just a to-do list. I want you to look at this list to consider things like, where do you have opportunities to engage in these fueling tasks more frequently? Where can you approach the draining tasks in new ways? Where do you have micro successes to acknowledge and to celebrate? This is especially important for my high executing and for my achiever friends. I want you to look at this list and actually pause and celebrate at least one micro success. Give your brain that second to register a win. My competition friends are like, wait, who said win? Think about this whole worksheet through the lens of your strengths and taking that moment to celebrate a micro success. It truly, truly matters. And then think about, okay, I have all these tasks, but we don't work in isolation. So think about, who might you need to update or involve or inform? All too often, we're just moving from project to project or task to task, barely giving ourselves time to breathe. But we need to pause, review that list, make sure we're communicating with others, sharing information, involving others as needed. So don't let your strengths live on that piece of paper. Let people see them through the lens of your work and let them see them in action. So that next part I have on there for you is about connecting. Connection is so important, says my relator. But truly, ask a colleague, ask a partner, a team member, what's on their to-do list? How are they leaning into their strengths? And what do they need? Identify who you will check in with and what do they have to say? Sometimes someone else is facing a task that completely drains them, but it may be something that perfectly aligns with your natural strengths. So by being curious, it gives you that moment to hear from someone else and potentially even offer your strengths. And that's how we build collective success. That's how we work together. And then finally, that last thing that you'll see on there, share the wins, review your list, share your micro successes, ask others about their wins, identify who you will share with, because we do move through this world fast. We need to celebrate our successes, even those little micro moments and micro successes. We should be asking others about what they've achieved, what fueled or drained them. Celebrate their micro moments. Really shine the light on accomplishments. It does matter. And when we flip the lens to sharing wins, celebrating success, expressing appreciation to those around us, we create a positive ripple. And that is incredible impact. So that's it for today. I want you to give this handout a try at some point this week. Download it, test it out, notice if there's a shift in your energy and your interactions. And until next time, keep it simple, stay intentional, and I'll see you next week in the lab.